Hello and welcome to Wholly Aligned. Ciara Jean Roberts here, yoga teacher and naturopathic nutritional therapist, bringing you today some yin yoga. Now, we have, especially in a modern setting, lots of almost like an overstimulus, and so our nervous systems, which are highly responsive and very intelligent, but sometimes we kind of can't override what those inner messages are telling us. So things like agitation or compromised sleep, be it not being able to fall asleep or waking up at 2, 3, 4 a.m. and then not getting back to sleep. Insomnia is a real issue for many people, and of course if our sleep is compromised, it's just going to knock everything out. Hormonal cascading that will impact our mood. We'll start to get almost like lackluster in our skin, more fatigued, more irritable, so all these things that, how do we, if we've kind of gone down too far a spiral like that, and maybe it's been a chronic issue. Yin yoga, in my view, certainly for me personally, and for the many people that I've shared it with, and one of the reasons I fell in love with it is because it's so effective. It is a different style of practice. So you can think of the harmonic balance of the yin and the yang. So a more strong asana practice that will be lots of downward dogs, maybe a bit of a vinyasa flow. That's very yang and much more about our muscular tone. Whereas the yin, it's that softer, more lunar energy, where we can come more into our intuitive response, which again can get very overridden with a bit of manic thought patterns, habitual patterns that are not serving us very well. And that all is coming from the inner state. So yin is about holding passive poses in order to let the deeper tissues, the deeper fascia to release. And it's more about nurturing your bones. So if you consider we've got over 200 joints in our body, a practice that's going to help us deliberately load weight onto our major joints in a very safe way, so everything's floor based, it's just amazing what will get recalibrated and what you might observe, because the yin practice asks you to be in stillness. So we'll start just on the floor because that's where we're going to stay. You don't really need any props unless you like to have cushions and things like that around, but I've deliberately styled this so no props are needed. So if you're familiar with yin and you love using your bolsters and the blankets, that's fine, go ahead. If you're newer to it, please don't worry about any of that. You can just have a floor. You might even be on a blanket. You don't have to be on a yoga mat for this practice. And let's start by just taking 3 deep breaths, just to allow ourselves to segue into the inner state and into the tissues of our bodies. Breathing in through the nose, let the belly fill. Breathing out through the nose, belly gently deflates, air emptied out. Breathing in, diaphragm moves down to allow your lungs to expand. Breathing out, your diaphragm, your key breath muscle, moves up to help empty out the lungs. One more breath together. Breathing in and breathing out, allowing yourself to arrive to the here and now, wherever you're at, whatever's going on in your life right now. Just be here. Just be here. So we'll start with a pose called butterfly. So the naming of the poses in a yin practice, which has lots of its roots in Taoism, is different to what you might hear in a hatha yoga practice. So, but you'll recognize some of the shapes if you are familiar generally with yoga. So we're coming into butterfly, soles of the feet together and the knees out. Now, if you do need cushions to support, if you're very tight in the hips, by all means put some cushions or some blocks underneath the outer thighs. You've got choices here in terms of, how much spacing you have between heels and pubic bone. If you're ready to settle in, then just begin to do so. Otherwise, if you want to get more into sort of the outer hamstrings, take the heels a little bit further away. If you want to access more of the adductor muscles, the inner thigh muscles, you can bring the heels closer in. So just see what works. And you might also be up on a cushion here. So yin is really asking us to surrender, and we do what's called playing the edge. So we don't go leaping in too far. It's a gentle exploration. We hold the poses for minutes at a time. And so, of course, because, you know, if we've been in a chronic stress pattern or highly agitated, then it might very well feel uncomfortable. So please know that's part of it. It's okay. The more you practice it, the more the inner terrain will settle, and you'll actually begin to expand out of all of that mental looping, because it really is helping to soothe the nervous system. It's very, very important. So allowing the chin to just rest towards the chest. And just becoming soft, becoming still, like you're just melting. And you have the floor, that ground, that anchor, that solidity to just be in. Just let tension melt away from your face. And go edge by edge. So you make it a gentle progression to find where are you able to just sit in stillness. So we commit to stillness in the yin practice. Not easy at first. So if you're new to it, don't give up. Don't give up because it's really, really uncomfortable and you're too agitated. You just need to re-inform your nervous system. Soften your eyes. The eyes can absolutely be closed here. If you're finding that your head is like, oh, my head's really heavy and it's making my neck feel really uncomfortable, you can always just let the hands come and support maybe the side of the head. So that can also be a very soothing sense. It gives the message of safety and support to the brain. So if that is helpful, by all means, take that. So along with duration, embracing what it is to become still, the yin practice also asks us to track sensation. So what is actually happening in your body in the here and now? Not the argument you had yesterday, not the fears you have about the future. This is here and now. And tracking sensation reminds us, oh, how do my fingertips feel in these moments? How is this facilitating a release in my back body musculature? Noticing where you hold your patterns of tension and how your body is speaking to you through sensation. Pain is very useful information because it's asking us to pay attention. Three more breaths here. Keep softening. Keep settling even if there's challenge. Self-soothe. And then prepping very gently to come out. So where we've, sometimes gone quite deep into something, and that's more about how we feel it rather than how it looks. It's not about the veneer, it's about the inner feelings, the emotions. Very normal to get flashes of anger or flashes of sadness, feeling grief-stricken. It's just your tissues are having a chat with you. Well done. So we'll come into opening up the backs of the legs a little bit more now. And you'll notice that I'm wearing just super comfortable clothing. So I've got my lounge pants on, a jumper because the body temperature can drop in a yin. Now again, if you're tight in the hips, pop up on a cushion. This is called our dragonfly pose. By all means, bend the knees if that's going to be more helpful to you. Same idea. So having opened up a little bit the back body through our butterfly, the previous pose, now we're going into a little bit more mindful loading into the joints. If you think about how the backs of your knees are getting elongated here, how the hips are opening, and then we settle, we commit to stillness, even if that feels really difficult. So it doesn't mean that you won't move, or you just start to attend. Oh, I'm twitching, or wow, I feel like I really need to scratch my nose. So of course do that. Don't sit in absolute agony thinking that you need to be so still. You just notice how your breath is moving. Again, if you need to support the head, maybe your elbows reach down. If you're tight in the hamstrings, that will be probably not very accessible, so don't worry about that, but that can be an option. Melting into softness, into stillness. Letting any frayed nerves just get that message of calm. And allowing yourself to ask, how am I feeling in this moment? How am I feeling in this moment? And rather than intellectualizing a response, but you let it be a felt response. What is your body revealing to you through sensation? What is the emotional landscape? Take your time, be gentle with yourself, be gentle. Notice the jaw. Relax the eyes. Even when the eyes are closed, it's amazing how we can grip into the eyeballs. Again, that's just an indication of perhaps a slightly harried nervous system. Breath by breath, being in the beingness. How is it to just be? Last 3 breaths here. And then slowly, just a slow rebound, especially when we hold these passive poses. You don't want to fling and flip yourself out of it, because, just notice where there's a sense of urgency, permission to slow down, permission to feel whatever that is, whatever that is. Just have a little moment, just check in, see how you feel. Quite normal to feel a bit spaced out after a yin pose. I go to Norman Blair's 3-hour workshop when I can. He's a brilliant yin yoga teacher. He's been teaching yin for probably the longest time in London. If you get a chance to check out his workshops, highly recommend. But you can imagine after 3 hours of doing this, wow, kind of feel spaced out, because everything's just been brought right down, right down, right down. All right, so just gently bring the legs back together. We'll come into opening up the shoulders and the heart. So, if you've been going through a very painful time, some loss or a painful breakup, or just not feeling yourself, when we come into these heart openers, please know it's quite normal to want to resist them. And it's like, oh, this is making me feel really sad or really scared, I don't know what's happening. And just see if you can self-soothe. Take your time, take your time. So we come into puppy pose. So we have the knees staying directly over the hips here. So your knees and your ankles are hip distance, so they're tracking back evenly. Now, any shoulder impingement, you want to be really careful here. So just gauge it. Taking the arms long, and the hands are as wide as your mat. They need to be wider, that's fine. And then letting your brow just gently come down. So you'll notice that my hips are staying over the knees, because if we move back too much, we'll miss out on the shoulder opener. It might be that if there is tightness in your shoulders, it's a common area of tension, that you permit the elbows to rest down. So you don't feel like you need to really overactivate the arms. If that's making the shoulder heads go, oh, that's pinching, that's not nice. And then just soften. So again, we stay here for time, we commit to stillness, we track sensation, all the while remaining so compassionate for our experience. So compassionate. This pose is sometimes also called melting heart, which is very beautiful. You're just being asked to melt your heart down into the kindness of Mother Earth. If it helps to turn the head to one side, that can be a nice modification. And just see if there's a willingness for your front ribs to sink. Notice how it feels, even in the buttock muscles. They can get they're getting some love here as well. Let your hands just feel relaxed. Belly just hangs like a hammock, so we're not holding or gripping. No aesthetic of hold the belly in. No, let the belly hang, let your breath be free, and just settle. You modify if you need to. If you've gone somewhere that has gone beyond your edge, just ease off. You don't want to go somewhere that's so much sensation coming at you that it's just agitating things. You want to find that sweet spot where there's a little bit of challenge, but that the mind is able to stay at least moving gently towards neutrality. And very normal actually to get sudden flashes of anger or be furious. You know, I'm really annoyed. Why am I doing this? It's okay. Just see if you can be wryly amused at your inner thoughts. Soften, soften, soften your eyes, soften your jaw. Melting heart, melting heart. Letting the energy within you open up. So because yin is very influenced by Taoism, it is very much interlinked with traditional Chinese medicine in terms of the meridians, those energy channels. So we're working on multiple levels. So this is where you just allow it to be a felt experience, melting also into your liver, that amazing, formidable organ that resides on the right side of your abdomen. A lot of anger can get parked in there, so just send it some love. If you have turned your head, just turn it to the other side to even out your neck. We'll do 3 more breaths here. Softly, softly. And come out nice and slowly, gently, gently. So just let the hands slide back in. You know, be really slow and gentle, because especially if you're tight in the shoulders, that might, you know, you want to just rebound gently, mindfully, and press into your hands. And just maybe sit back and have a little child's pose for a breath or two. If it helps to ease the shoulders, you can let the arms cocoon by your sides. Good. And then just gently take your time. And we'll come to lying on the back now. And get there nice and slowly, nice and slowly. And we'll finish with a pose, a happy baby. So it opens up the hips, and often a lot of low back discomfort can come from tightness in the hips and the quads and the hamstrings. Everything's interconnected, you know. Everything influences everything all of the time, and our bodies are such a beautiful reflection of that. So happy baby, you let the knees come in. Now it might be that you just hold gently to the shins and part the knees so they're as wide as your ribs, so you can think of the knees gently inviting towards your armpits. Even if this feels tight in your shoulders, you know, if you're working on a recovery in your shoulder anatomy for whatever reason, maybe hold behind the backs of the thighs instead. So, you know, we're not looking to find something that's incredibly straining. You just soften, and then just let your back body melt into the support of your floor. And we're staying here if this is fine. If you wish to go into a deeper version, you can take the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling and hold to where it feels comfortable. So my shoulders permit me to hold the feet, but I find often the back of the neck arches for a lot of people, especially when there's tension in the shoulders. So it might be that you can still direct the feet up, but you hold lower down, even hold behind the backs of the thighs. So just options. I'm actually going to go back to the nice deep bent knee just to really let things soften. Slight tuck of the chin and a sense of reaching through the base of the spine. So even that is just going to get a little bit more space, a bit more lubrication into your spine. And then here we are, soften, relax your jaw. Eyes can be closed as you wish. Eyeballs relaxing, face neutral. Notice if you're hanging on for dear life with your hands. They are gently recruited, but not white knuckling. Tracking sensation, tracking sensation. Observing your inner state through feeling. Letting go of being so fixated on any mental loops. Not easy, you know, it's maybe you've got loads going on. So don't pressurize yourself. It's just that gentle willingness to plant a seed about becoming calmer, becoming more peaceful. It is possible, it really is. But be where you need to be. Be where you need to be. Whatever emotions are arising, that's okay. Keep softening your shoulders. We'll take 3 more breaths here together. Every exhale, just melt your body more and more into your floor. Great. And then let your knees gently come back together. You just let the knees drop right and left a couple of times each side, especially if you're very tight in the hip creases. That happy baby can be very challenging if you're tight in hip flexors and hip creases. So again, just observe. Then keep your knees over one way and let yourself just ease back to a seat. Now, by all means, you can do a Shavasana lying flat on your back. You can always tag that on. Or you can even tag on a legs up the wall if you felt like lengthening your practice a little bit. So I do have some other yin yoga videos on the channel, so you can always also like do a couple back to back and do it that way, you know, if you want to target different areas. This was more for just calming and grounding. So yeah, just take your hands into a prayer gesture at the center of your heart. Gently close your eyes, a little bowing of the head, so chin lightly tucks, bowing into the wisdom of your heart, to remember that your heart beats just for you. Your heart yearns to guide you, and you are loved. You are more supported than you can ever know. Breathe into that. And sealing the practice, namaste.